going to show you now how to load up material. We'll use a 126 wide roll to demonstrate. There'll be other videos to show you how to do the dual roll and whatnot, but this job that we got to run is going to require the 126 wide, so that's what we're going to do. So after you get your material set and you get your material on here, you want to push your material into the cradles. The motor at the drive side here will freely spin because it's not engaged and we're loading up the material, so it will allow you to freely spin that. And the first thing you want to do on this side is you want a metal plate over here. This metal plate that the cradle and the latch is attached to, that's what you're going to use for your measurement to keep it consistent between the front and the back. So you want to get a nice measurement, nice even measurement, so go around 6 inches to kind of center the roll off that plate. And you want to use a tape measure because there are rulers on the spindle itself, but the spindle has about an 1/8 inch play left to right. So if they're not both set and jogged to one side, the rulers on the spindles are an approximate, not an exact. If you use a tape measure off the metal panel, the metal siding here, you can get an exact from the front to the back for your alignment. So got it set at 6. Next I want to do is make sure that it doesn't roll. So down at the other end here, you have your air fill valve. So you would take your hose, just push it down in there, hold it for about 3 seconds. That will fill the air bladder up, so that core's not going to move anywhere. Onside that spindle, just double check, 6 inches, yep. So now what I'm going to do before I latch these down, I'm going to want to weave up the material through the back pinch wheel assembly, so then we can go to the front and then pull it through the front and get it set on the other side. So this is a pretty simple process. You got your diverter roller here, you got your pinch wheel assembly. So these red levers, you pull them down, will unlock the pinch wheel assembly. It could sit up here. You can keep it there for now, but when you're down here and you're weaving around, you want to bring it over through the back. So make sure you unlock it. What I do is I start from the center and I will pull it up a little bit. You're going to get a little bit of creasing on the ends here, but that's not a problem because this material here will go through the press and sit on the front, so this isn't going to be a finished product part of the material. So if you get a little kinked on the ends, it's not a problem. That's one of the challenges you'll get of doing it by yourself. So once you get the material on the back side of the diverter roller, bring it over your roll here. Now you can pull this down, your pinch wheel assembly. You want to grab your material and pull it over the pinch wheel assembly so that it's hanging back a little bit. Make sure it's all nice and straight. And what you want to do is pull it taut, not pull it really hard because then you'll pull more material out, but if you jog it left to right, it'll kind of square up here with your roll. And then you hold in the center, push that back up, and then you want to lock it into place. So now that this pinch wheel assembly is locked into place, you can roll your core back a little bit, look down, you can see if it's taut, if you did a good job getting that all nice and even. If not, that's not a big deal. We can jog it on the front to square it off with the take-up roll and get it nice and taut all the way through. So you have a little bit overhanging here. When you go to the software, which I'll show you next, the drive roller will pull the material through so you can grab it, bring it out down through the carrying unit. But it's fine to have this sticking out. So let's go to the front. All right, now that we're at the front of the press here, we're at the control unit. As you can see, and look back, you see the material all the way down, curled out behind the pinch wheel assembly. So what we're gonna need to do is get that forward, get it through the carrying unit and onto the take-up wheel in the front. So what we're gonna do is, first and foremost, we're gonna need to unlock the carrying unit. This latch here, it's got a safety switch right there. So if that safety switch is not engaged, it won't let you do anything. So what we're gonna do, unlock the carrying unit. So that way we can quickly pull it out when we need to. And as soon as you start moving the material, you'll be able to open up the latch, grab the material to pull it forward. So over on the software, to the right here, I'm gonna go to substrate load and unload. Hit yes. So now this page here, depending on what you pick for different types of loading configurations, it will actually show you here and give you step-by-step of how to load the material properly. So we're just gonna do roll to roll. We're gonna manually load it. Down here, you wanna make sure that your material is correct. That way you don't have to go in and change it later. And then these here will bring the material forward, or you can push it backwards, so these two buttons will move that drive wheel. So first thing we want to do is bring that material forward so we can get it down through the carrying unit and up to the front. So we're going to hit that button there. Going to open up the gate. We can reach in here, pull that material, assist it all the way down, pull the carrying unit out, and then now it's going to nicely fall down inside of there. So it will automatically go a certain distance and then it will stop. So it's getting a little hung up, but you can just help it. And when it stops, then you can move on. So now it has stopped, and now we're going to go to the next step. So now that the material's out to the front, we can push the carrying unit back in. You want to push it from the center so you're not pushing one side in more than the other and kind of getting it stuck. Lock the carrying unit back in place. You can close the gate now. We don't need to get back in there. And so what we're going to do is get that spindle in there. We want to get our tape measure. We want to line that up to the 6 inches. So the end of the core out to 6 inches from the plate. Once that's there, we're going to fill the bladder up. Same thing down here, 3 seconds. Got some air in there, nice and filled. If you hold it longer than 3 seconds, you run into the problem of puncturing the internal bladder of the spindle, and then that whole spindle will need to be replaced. So now that we got that all set, we want to make sure the material is nice and taut and even across. So you can see here that it's falling right down at the 6. Over there, it looks pretty good. So material should be nice and even, but what I like to do is I like to go into the back, undo the pinch wheel assembly so it's not tight against the drive roller. I'll come up here, I'll shake the material left and right, I'll close that pinch wheel assembly back up, and then once I do that, then it should be nice and square in the front so the tension's even from left to right, and then I'll tape it up. So right now, I'm gonna go in the back, I'm gonna undo the pinch wheel assembly real quick, just to make sure that there's no pressure on the material. Come up, we'll jog it in the front, and then we'll get it taped up. So all I do is just unlatch the red handles and let it stay loose. I don't pull it all the way down. So come up, grab it in the center, kind of give it a little left-right jog, and then close the pinch wheel assembly. So just get the red handles, latch them back up. Make sure that all your gates are closed on your spindles. So we're gonna grab our tape, and there's a couple different ways you can tape this. Going from the back, taping up is one of the ways to get it the tightest. So that's the way I like to go. The machine will determine which way you have taped this up to the output based on tension when it does its material load checks. So we'll get this taped up, start in the center, pull it nice and taut, go to the side, pull it nice and taut, tape it up. And then you can take these loose areas here in between the center, left and right, put a tape down the center there, just so you're not going to pinch that when you're rolling it in. So this is bander vinyl. It's easier to get it taut coming from the back to the front, so you can pull it nice and tight. If it was self-adhesive vinyl with a liner on the back of it, you would have to go image out, so you'd have to go through the front, tape it through the back. But as much as you can, I recommend taping it this way. So now that everything's all taped up, it's at the 6 inches. So now you come back up to the software again, make sure you have your right material, make sure everything else is checked properly, which everything should stay. And then down here, you'll hit finish. And now the whole press will go through its material checks. See how it's winding up. It's checking tension, checking which direction it's taped on the pickup wheel. Once that's all done, it's going to send the head carriage from the left to the right. It will get you your material measurement, and it will get you your distance off the start point, so when you're printing, it knows exactly where to print. So this takes about 5 minutes, but that is how you get the material on.